Morning. Proverbs chapter 25, starting in verse 8. 8. Yes. Do not go hastily to court, for what will you do in the end when your neighbor has put you to shame? Debate your case with your neighbor, and do not disclose the secret to another, lest he who hears it expose your shame and your reputation be ruined. So, in 1 Corinthians 6, it talks about Christians not taking each other to court, not dealing with things in an outwardly way, but in an inwardly way. And what I mean by that, moving this real quick, like that seems pretty good, is that when Paul makes the point in 1 Corinthians that why are we going to the world to deal with our problems? And on that note, why are we letting the world know about all of our baggage, right? And all of this stuff, the dirty laundry of the church. It doesn't mean that we hide things in some kind of deceptive manner, but we don't need to put things on blast and let everyone know. I love it when people just private message me about stuff. And it solves so many problems, and it really, for me at least, it earns a lot of respect. Wow, they could have just kind of put this on blast, but they decided to message me and have a one-on-one conversation instead. And it talks about, again, you're going hastily to court. And so some people, they don't take time to really settle a problem. Then they rush to escalate it. And then they realize that, well, wait a minute, this, you'll be put to shame because the idea is you didn't really think this through, and actually you're the one in error. Verse 11 and 12, a word fitly spoken is like apples of gold and settings of silver, like earrings of gold and an ornament of fine gold. It is a wise rebuker to an obedient ear. A wise rebuker to an obedient ear. It's like gold. Notice how it says a wise rebuker to an obedient ear are words fitly spoken. So if you want to be a wise rebuker, make sure your words are fitly spoken. I was just reading something today, and I don't think I could paraphrase it quite right, but as we as Christians speak, we need to be considering if what we're saying, not only is there nothing wrong with what we're saying, but is there anything edifying about what we're saying? You see, words fitly spoken makes a wise rebuker. There's a lot of rebukers in the church. It's not hard to find people who want to rebuke, but the question is are you wisely rebuking? Are they words fitly spoken? And so just as an example of that, all things are lawful, but not all things edify, Paul writes again to the Corinthians there. And the idea is this, is that there's nothing bad about what you're saying. Therefore, it's lawful. But then the question is there anything edifying about what you're saying? You see, just because there's nothing bad doesn't mean it's actually going to be helpful. You can rebuke someone and say absolutely true statements. But that doesn't mean it's going to actually net any positive results. And so maybe one last thing is just, for instance, drunkenness. Thieves. Let's pick on thieves. Right? Thieves are going to hell. It's true. It's true. All liars will have their part in the lake of fire. Now, those are true statements, of which probably could be included in an edifying rebuke. But also, is to make an extreme example. That could just be my message. Drunks are going to hell. Period. And if I don't add to that, if I don't put that in, the question is if you're talking to a drunkard, are you going to see anything change? In fact, okay, I said my last example, but that was a lie. And not all liars go to hell because I'm washing the blood of Jesus. But this last Sunday, I had a few people commend me on how I did with my election sermon. And that was something I said was very hard, because if all I wanted to do was garner applause from my conservative friends and people who already are going to vote the way I'm going to vote, that's not hard to do. I can get a bunch of amens from the zealots, but can I make those points in such a way that the people who are on the fence, or even on the other side of the fence, might be convinced to reconsider their position? So a word fitly spoken is a beautiful thing. It's a wise rebuke to an obedient ear. And that's maybe the last part right there, is that an obedient ear. You could have the best words ever, but if people don't want to hear, they don't want to hear, right? You really can't stop anyone. If they don't want to hear what you have to say, there's nothing you can do to make them hear what you have to say. 13, like the cold of snow in time of harvest, is a faithful messenger to those who send him, for he refreshes the soul of his masters. I think the idea is a hot, sweaty harvest, right? I mean, you're just out there in the sun and you're baking, and it's like snow comes out of nowhere. It's like, oh, this is wonderful. You know, 100-degree day, and then all of a sudden you get some nice light snowflakes laying on your back. And so the idea is a faithful messenger to those who send him. Because again, he refreshes the soul of his masters. When you have someone that you can send to do a job or send a message specifically, and to know it's just going to get done because the person is faithful. Oh, how faithfulness is just this refreshing thing. Like, oh, if this guy says yes, I know it's going to happen. Whoever falsely boasts of giving is like clouds in the wind without rain. Oh, falsely boasting about giving. Yeah. I don't even think I'm going to comment much on that, but I think you guys get it. This idea of people acting like they're more generous than they really are. I don't know. God's not going to be happy about that. By long forbearance, a ruler is persuaded, and a gentle tongue breaks a bone. Can you imagine eating and licking and eventually wearing through a bone? That'd be a long process, right? That's kind of the idea here. Well, by long forbearance, a ruler is persuaded. You see the example of the widow and the judge with Jesus, and how she continually is persistent until finally he gives in. This idea of persistence. And it really ties into faithfulness, because those who are faithful are persistent. Faithful, you know it'll get done, but also doing something faithfully again and again and again and again without quitting, without failure. Have you found honey? Eat only as much as you need, lest you be filled with it and vomit. There we go. I've got a honey vomit story from this morning, but I'll save that one for another day. Point is, okay, I won't. Hannah was sick. She didn't eat all of yesterday. And so I gave her a cornbread muffin this morning. And she's like, can I have honey on it? No, honey, you were sick, lest you vomit it up. So very biblical. But again, you find something sweet, you find something good. Just be careful you don't overdo it. You know, there's a lot of pastimes and hobbies. I'm speaking to you, American. Pastimes and hobbies that are not in and of themselves bad, but you also can consume enough to where you vomit. I mean, it makes you sick because you're taking in too much of this good thing. All right. I'm going to stop right there. We're somewhat shifting gears to kind of a new little chunk for tomorrow, and that gives us about 10 minutes today. So God bless you guys. Have a great day, and I will see you guys tomorrow.